Can you tell me a little bit about why you are so passionate about positive youth development?
Um, Probably because as I reflect back on my own life, um, one of the things that I've concluded is that even though I was a child that you could have described as disadvantaged, uh, single parent family, low income neighborhood, went to the public schools of the District of Columbia, etc. I actually came out at 18 or 19, ready for college, ready for work, ready for life. And when I reflected back on looking at what was in my life that wasn't in those of my peers, I realized that it's more than money. It was things like people who cared about me. It was people who had high expectations. That there were really opportunities for me to build skills in a variety of arenas. I happened to be good in school, but I also had other opportunities to build skills. I had a strong support system, and really had a sense of a future and had a sense of expectations. And that those are things that we can create for young people that don't cost enormous amounts of money, but they do mean that we have to be intentional about them. We have to care about them. So in this country, at least, one of the things that I'm trying to work against is the idea that we are quite satisfied when we can help a relatively small number of young people beat the odds, and suggest that here's a young person who, wasn't doing well, disadvantaged family, etc., and somehow some people stepped in and helped them turn their life around. And we have beat the odds ceremonies and awards, but we really have the resources to help a significant young people by changing the odds, by doing the things that we know young people need to have in their lives. And that list again from the National Academy of Sciences: they need structured places that are safe, they need supportive relationships with caring adults, they need opportunities for skill building, they need positive social norms and high expectations set for them, they need chances to contribute and make a difference. Those are things that we really should be able to provide, and the research tells us that when we provide those things for young people at an early age, when all through their development, they do significantly better as adults. And so that's where the passion is. This shouldn't be as hard to do as it is.
And what do you think current governments right now around the world should be focusing on in terms of the needs as well as in terms of what could be positive trajectories of development for young people today?
Well, I think I would use two words, and they are the words investment and involvement. I think one of the things that we have to do and encourage governments to do is look at the total amount of investment they are making in young people, explicitly or implicitly, across all of the departments or agencies that they have. At whatever level, the local level, the state level, or the national level. So it's not just looking at those small number of programs that they have named youth programs or youth development programs, but looking at education, looking at housing, looking at healthcare, and looking at the range of policies to ask if we really are doing consistent things to support young people in all of those arenas, especially if they make the transition from adolescence into adulthood. Our policies really tend to be scattered and often conflicting, again, and at least in this country, but certainly in others as well. We tend to have gaps in whether we're really helping young people do things like, if they don't go to college, move into affordable housing, move into jobs that have health benefits, finish their education, even if it takes them a while to do so. Are we doing the kinds of things that we need to do? Coupled with that, I think, is the idea of involvement, which is not just young people being involved in programs, but the deeper idea of young people really being civically engaged. Again, from an early age, understanding that sense of responsibility to community, responsibility to the broader society, and really believing that their voices count, that their voices are heard, and that they have very clear opportunities for engagement. So both of those things put together allow us to move forward, and I think that governments increasingly are looking at both of those.
And what do you think are current efforts that are happening that are moving things at a more, maybe at a more specific level in the education system, in schools currently? What are people doing right now, or what can they do better in terms of improving positive youth development, in terms of improving youth development in schools?
I think one of the things that is happening as we look at schools or school improvement, school reform, especially at the high school level, there's an increased recognition that the goal is no longer just to have a young person have a diploma. The goal is really to make sure that they are ready for the next step, whether that is ready for post-secondary education, ready for the workforce, ready for marriage or family. The goal is to make sure that they are ready. And when we put that goal on top of it, it is increasingly, and the idea of having young people involved, it's increasingly suggesting that schools have to see themselves as a critical part of the solution, but not the only part of the solution. So I think we're seeing more dialogue with young people in schools, but also with school officials about the role that schools play in the growth and development of young people, but not saying that schools have to do it alone, while at the same time insisting that schools have to do a better job, both on the academic side, but also on creating communities in which the overall growth of young people is being respected.